So, apparently Americans and Canadians don't speak English correctly. Hey guys, it's Elisa, not Alyssa, and today I have kind of a ranty type of video, which I haven't done before, but... So I got this comment, and it's not just one comment, it's multiple comments that I've gotten over time. So there's a certain subgroup of British people who seem to believe that British English is the only version of English that is correct. And if you are American or Canadian, your English is incorrect and you're mispronouncing words. How did this come about? So, one of the first videos on my channel is a video on how to pronounce the rolled R, like the Italian R, the R or R sounds. Just to give you a bit of context, the kind of D sound that we say in the word better or butter or ladder, words like that, is very, very close to the Italian R. So my trick was use that to help you to get to the Italian R. Now, I knew making this video that this might not work for British people because if they don't use that sound naturally when they speak English, then they're not going to already be able to do it, if that makes any sense. But I did say in the video, if you're Canadian, American, Australian, because I've heard Australians make that sound, then you can produce this sound. So what happens? Some people, I guess, get like offended that they're not included. I keep doing the finger quotes, I'm sorry. In this group of people that can easily do it. And because of that, they kind of attack me being Canadian or me having this Canadian or Americanized Canadian accent or whatever. So, like I said, there are multiple people who have commented this under the video. Anyway, that's not the point. Let's read a few parts of her comment. So, by the way, this is an English teacher. The fact that certain dialects mispronounce the T as a D is a disadvantage. Then there is the workaround below. Then I didn't really understand the rest of this. Blah, 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 blah. Meaning that is a D and not the T if you speak English correctly in the first place instead of mispronouncing it. Very interesting, mispronouncing it. So you're telling me that every native speaker of English in the United States and every native speaker of English in Canada is speaking English incorrectly and it's wrong and we're mispronouncing words. How does that even make sense? Here's the problem I have with this. The problem I have with this is how do you determine what the correct accent is? Is there one correct accent? Is it received pronunciation? Is that the correct one? Or is it all the ones in England? Or is it all the ones in Great Britain? Like where do you cross the line? Are Irish accents incorrect? Okay, so let's say we pronounce the word better with a T. Better or beta. What about people who use glottal stops? Now, I'm not extremely familiar with all the accents in the UK, but I'm pretty sure a lot of the times they use glottal stops depending on the accent. So they might say something like beta. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they might say something like beta. So is that incorrect? So do you see where this is going? Okay, so how about Irish English? How about Australian English? How about New Zealand English? Like, are all of these wrong because it's not the original, I'm sorry for the finger quotes, original accent? Here's the thing. Languages evolve naturally, right? If I'm not wrong, Canadian English is a mix of mostly American and Scottish and Irish. I believe it's both of them. And those mix together. So that's why we say the word about in kind of a weird way. And things like that couch and whatever, it's like out instead of ow, I think. I don't understand how that's incorrect. And I mean, even if you look at the States, like there's so many different accents in the States. Which one is the correct one? I mean, you can say that there's a standard one. So the accent that you would typically hear in a movie or a TV show, okay, an accent that's quite similar to mine actually, you could call that standard American English or standard North American English. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with there being a standard. But there is something wrong with saying that, no, all you people in Canada and all you people in the United States, you don't know how to speak English. You're pronouncing everything incorrectly. Like, it's a freaking accent. It's a freaking dialect, if you will. Like, it just... She finishes with, in short, other exercises on here were more useful for teaching my daughter how to roll her R's, but thanks anyway. That's fine. Like, it didn't have to work for you. Like, I hope my video worked for you, but if it didn't, it's like... All right, I tried. That's not the issue. I don't have an issue with it not working for you because that's life. Not everyone can learn something from everyone. Anyway, the point of this is not to say like, oh my gosh, I got a hate comment. Like, I'm so angry. It's like, that's not the point. I mean, am I annoyed? Yes, I am annoyed about the comment, but I'm not, It's not the comment itself that irritates me. It's, first of all, there's more than one. There were tons of comments like that. Not tons. I mean, there were some comments like that. The issue is that people actually think that Canadians and Americans are walking around speaking incorrect English and that they're like superior in some way because their English is the original. If your English is the original, fine, good for you. My English sounds a lot different. What's wrong with that? Australians speak in a different way as well. I mean, some Australians do have accents that sound very similar to British ones, but they're not exactly the same. They're quite different. I'm sorry, but any accent that comes from an English-speaking country, a primarily English-speaking country, is correct because it's a different dialect. So maybe some things in British English are incorrect in Canadian English and vice versa. For example, I lived in Australia for almost a year, and instead of saying, "How are you doing?" they say, "How are you going?" So as a Canadian, the first time I heard that, I'm like, that's incorrect in my brain because in my dialect, I guess, that's not grammatically correct, but it's correct in their English. That doesn't mean that what they're saying is incorrect. That just means it's their version of English, which is right. Now, if we're talking about a foreigner speaking English and speaking it in a way that doesn't conform to any of the existing forms of English, then yes, that is incorrect. So if I go and try to speak Spanish and then my Spanish accent doesn't sound like any of the Spanish accents that exist, you could say that that's wrong. That's fine because I'm not a native speaker. I'm learning a language. That's different. But this is my first language. I'm sorry, but you can't tell me that my accent is incorrect. If you want to talk about people using improper grammar, fine, okay? But you can't tell me that my accent is well, I mean, you can tell me, but in my opinion, you're wrong. I just don't see the problem. I don't understand this like superiority thing. I'm like, oh, well, we're the English. And this is not everyone. Again, this is a very like a subgroup of people who like think they're superior. Oh, we're the English. And we invented English. Therefore, you're not allowed to have your own accent. Like, you're not allowed to let the language evolve naturally because you are in a different country and language evolves naturally. Like, let's take French. So in Canada, we have French speakers, okay, who moved from, I think it's like northwestern France or something. So when they moved to Canada, the language didn't evolve naturally the way the French in France did. So French in France evolved in its own way, and French in Canada evolved in its own way, but they don't evolve together. So there's such a huge difference between them now because they didn't evolve together. They were in separate countries. They weren't influenced by each other. And this is another thing. So if language can't evolve in another country, how does it work for languages changing over time? I mean, should we all speak in like Old English because languages evolving are incorrect? Like, I'm pretty sure that the accent you have now is not the exact same accent that people spoke with hundreds of years ago. I'm pretty sure it's changed. Here's my question. Where do you draw the line? And if you're someone who believes this, who believes that Canadians and Americans speak improper English, where do you draw the line? Who's allowed to be in this club of people who speak proper English? Is it like just the Queen? You know what I mean? Is it like just people who have that type of accent, who have received pronunciation? Is it everyone in the UK? Is it just the UK that's superior? I don't want to exaggerate, but this is the kind of impression that I'm getting from these people. Like, we're superior. Your accent is wrong. How dare you make a technique for people that works for you and that doesn't work for us? We're the ones who invented English. I am open to discussion. You know, if you guys want to give me another point of view and tell me why my accent is wrong. I've been thinking about it and I can't find an argument that works, but if you find one, tell me, you know, write me a comment. Let's make this like a civil discussion. Like, I'm not here to attack you. I'm just passionate. I'm just dramatic right now, and I'm just like annoyed because these comments are annoying, you know? I just think it's a bit silly to say that, for example, let's say received pronunciation is the only correct version of English. And if you're Canadian or if you're American, you just don't know how to speak English. You're just doing it wrong. And I was saying this on my Instagram story the other day because I was ranting about it there before I decided to rant here. Like, that's such a terrible way of looking at language learning, especially because the people who, I mean, typically there's some people who are trying to do the thing, okay? Whatever that is. This like Cardi B thing, whatever. There are a lot of people that came to my video for that. But the majority of my subscribers, or the majority of the people that watched that video, watched it because they're trying to learn another language. That's such a terrible way to look at language learning. I mean, if you wanted to, you could even try to make that argument for a language like Italian, where there's a standard one, which is silly because what happens is there are a bunch of different dialects and different versions of a language. Someone one day says, okay, we need a standard one. Let's pick this one. Okay, this is going to be the standard one. Now this is the one that we're going to put in books and the one that we're going to put on the news. So that's the standard. Now, after that point, does every other every other dialect automatically become incorrect? And like, oh, it's wrong. You have to change the way that you speak. No, that's not how it works. This isn't a matter of pronouncing things improperly. I'm perfectly capable of saying better or better. I'm perfectly physically capable of doing that. This is not a mispronunciation issue. This is I live in a different country and I have a different accent issue, which is not an issue, by the way. Anyway, okay. I think I mostly got that off my chest. I hope I said everything that I wanted to say. I'm sure I left something out. Let me know your thoughts on this. I'm perfectly willing to have discussion. I'd love for people to discuss with each other in the comments about what they think about this. The idea that there can only be one proper version of a language and every other one being incorrect. And again, I'm not talking about foreigners mispronouncing something in another accent. Like, let's say I'm speaking in French and my accent is not correct. I'm not talking about that because that's not my language. I'm talking about native speakers speaking their own language and having certain accents in different countries and them apparently being wrong. Because I think that their argument is silly, but I'm open to discussion. I'm open to having I don't think I could have my mind changed in this case, but open to having a better understanding of their point of view. If you thought this video was interesting or thought-provoking, give me a like, subscribe to my channel if you're interested in more videos on topics like this. I do a lot of teaching English, teaching Italian, culture stuff. Please share this video with anyone who is either Canadian, American, or British, because I'm curious to see what they would think about it. If you want, of course, you're not forced to. And I think that's all I have to say. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.